somebody who's been very active on the ground and has been an active participant on matters of governance and public policy and politics at Bunge la Mwananchi is Joakim Simiyu, who is now the Secretary General of Safina Party. He's our guest this morning. Joakim, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Good to see you.
Yes, yes.
Pesa. The economy is doing well. World Bank should just look at you and say, Kenya's economy.
We'll move from middle income to the next stage.
I appreciate that.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Janet is going to start off with the day's quotas, of course.
Yes. Sylvia Njobati from Cameroon once said, young people are not the future, we are the interruption. You agree?
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. Young people come up with new ideas that seem to disrupt the existing systems. You seem to come up with new ways of doing things that have always been done the same way, and they usually think that continuing to do them the way we are doing them, they will not yield the kind of results that we want. Yeah.
Joakim ametoa kwa hiyo equation. They seem to. We are all young at heart.
The young people.
The young people.
Oh yeah, the word is we.
But that's well said. That is well said. They don't see the benefits, so they say let's interrupt and do it in a way that can yield the results we want to see. Okay.
So Joakim, if you look at the current state of the nation,
yes,
from the ground, because you've been very, very active on listening to the ground from Bunge la Mwananchi, what is it that Mwananchi would summarize? If we were to summarize it in, let's say, a paragraph, 3 sentences.
The real state of the nation. First of all, let me start by highlighting the comparison from what we are being told is the state of the nation vis-a-vis what it really is. We see numbers being thrown, and some people have been employed, but the ground doesn't feel it. You know, when the economy is doing well, you don't have to go to the page of a PS to know if the economy is doing well, or listen to a report from State House. The economy is what we feel in our pocket. Are you able to actually afford the basics without really struggling for it? And on ground, the real state of the nation is that people are struggling to even afford a meal. So sometimes I see speeches and I'm like, are these people even in this country? But I understand them. For them, the economy is doing well. Yes.
For them.
Yes.
You know, a lot of them are saying that the president has to be ambitious. So the argument is, how do we balance the ambition for Kenya to do better and get better while also being aware of what's happening on the ground? Because yes, we do need to improve, right? We do need to improve our status, we need to improve. But obviously, as you've said, the reality on the ground is people are not feeling it in their pockets. Do you believe that there should be a tandem thing where they're saying big project, daily realities? Or do you feel like people are missing the big ideas?
You know, you cannot talk about the big ideas if the basics one are not being taken care of. And in the midst of being ambitious, you need to be alive to the realities of the country. We should not talk about getting into first world when we are struggling in the third world. And you're not providing actually the achievable and practical ways of us being on that trajectory of getting into the first world. First of all, things that ensure that people get to first world is industrialization, taking care of education of the people. But if you are mutilating the very things that ensures a country gets to first world, then I doubt if we will ever get there. If we will ever get there, we will not be led by the people that are in leadership today. And also the biggest issue is that when someone tells you they have a plan, usually you interrogate the person telling you, has he ever had a plan before? How did it turn out? If the plans they have only work for themselves, you will doubt if they will have any plan that works for other people. So we are being led by people who are very ambitious for themselves, yes, and sometimes you want to look visionary, and you want to look like a person who wants to do big things for the country. But can we start with the small things? Can we make sure that all our children go to school? They can access health care. People do not struggle to get a job. They can take care of the basics without really struggling. If we can achieve that, then we can be sure that one day we will be at the place we want to be.
That first world.
Yes.
Let me ask, as Secretary General, you're dealing with your party members, you're dealing with what took ground, same with Bunge la Wananchi. What are the things that are actually paining Kenyans? Because we may see the headlines that say this is what's troubling Kenyans, but when you talk to people, nini na wasumbua?
Whenever you see, people have become very desperate. And as a political player, it comes clearly when you even have a rally. That you find that sometimes people are not even listening. They want to know what are they going to get after this rally. Because the first instinct of any human being is survival. Yes. And in this case, survival comes with having money in their pocket. So all the problems of the Kenyan people circle around money. Yes. Once we solve that riddle, I think we will now move to the next step. But we must work on the program of making sure that people have money in their pocket.
Whose fault is it that people come to rallies expecting money?
We've cultivated this culture. I think that's a fault that we all need to take a blame. You want a leader with integrity, but at the end of the day, you are going to vote for someone who gave you something. You find that a member of parliament is spending quite more than what he will ever earn from the salary of being a member of parliament, and you still expect him not to loot. I think we all take that blame. But sometimes also I feel like people have been put in a position where they have no option. That the money that is supposed to bring services to even elevate the people is being looted and embezzled. It's brought during campaign time. It's a way of controlling people, make sure that they do not have anything for themselves, so that when you show up, you look like a messiah to them. And that, I think that has been a problem for this country for quite some time now.
Yeah.
And we need, as the people, and I think if things fall apart, the people who bear the brunt of it are the ordinary Kenyans. So as the ordinary Kenyan, you need to, first of all, even as we approach elections, you need to think about what is in it for you. We are oftenly told that politics is about interest, but we are never told whose interest. So you need to think that what is your interest in this whole thing, that favorite candidate that you are shouting for, what's in it for you? Because politicians, I've dealt with them, I'm one of them, we are always selfish. Can the people be equally selfish to look for what is really good for them, so that we are now at par and everyone will have their cake?
Right. What will it take to get there? Because you've said the truth about how politicians operate is that when you're really on your knees, they'll come in like the Messiah, but it's the tale as old as time.
Yes.
And sometimes I wonder, have we not been pushed to the brink to push back against that? And I wonder, from your perspective and purview, at what point do you think Kenyans will get to the point where they say, we know these games, tunaziona kwa mbali? Because I would think last year, for example, would have pushed people to the point where they say never again. People say 2027 will be different because now people are alive. I have my doubts. What do you think it will take for us to get to the place where, or for Kenyans to get to the place where they say, you won't come with your lies? And do you think we could ever get there?
If the pain the people are going through right now is not enough to make the scales that have been blinding their eyes fall off, then they will need more pain for them to learn. And that pain will be double. Right now, Kenyans we are talking about pain in the pocket. If we make the same mistakes we've been making, it will be double after the election date of 2027. Because right now we are speaking as if it ends on the election date. Kenya will exist after the election date. So the reasons you have for voting that particular person what will be your reason to push through life after election? How will your child go to school? Mm-hmm. Will you be sure that when they come out of school, they have a job? Are you sure that the roads you use daily will be repaired? Are you sure that the money you pay in terms of taxes will be used according to what is prescribed for? Mm-hmm. If we don't ask ourselves such questions and make emotional, blind decisions, we will be back here after the election date crying even more. And I'm telling people that if they don't listen, they should blame themselves, because the ball right now is in their court. That's why you see a deputy president sitting on the pavement of a mud walled house. That's why you see a minister is deep in the village, because it shows the kind of power the people wield. And I think it's about time we understand the power we have as the people, that we can fire and hire government. Mm-hmm. We can choose the person we want. Right now, we are being made to believe that the choice is very narrow. It's either this one or this one. No, we can always choose out of the box that have been provided. And it's upon the people to make that choice. If we don't, woe unto us.
It's upon the people, and we can choose outside the box and what's provided in the box. But political parties essentially are the box.
Yes.
They're the ones who box us in with their candidates, and they say, I am fielding Jano, and then you say you're fielding Eric, and now Mariam has to choose. It's like, it's only Jano and Eric. So how do we fix political parties?
Right now, when you look at the political composition of the country, nearly every political party, especially us in the opposition, we are talking about what Ruto has done wrongly. What's wrong with the government? We are not really coming out clear on what are we going to offer in terms of an alternative. That we all agree that one term should be a reality. But then, what after achieving that dream of one term? How do we live as Kenyans after sending William Ruto home? We already have messes that have been created that we need to take care of. We have affordable housing. How do we go about it after getting into power? We have SHA is in existence. Getting rid of the existing leadership today will not automatically clear the problems that we have. And therefore, as political parties who are yearning to provide an alternative, we need to be very clear of what are we going to provide, away from sloganeering. Can we now sit on the table and say, hey, we have a job to do? When we get into office, what are we going to do differently? What has William Ruto done to qualify to be one term? And what are we coming to do differently so that the people will not make the same noise under different president? And that's why I think, and I confidently say that as it stands, Safina Party is the only party that is talking about an alternative, an agenda, away from the reality that the government is not doing the right things. What could be the real problem that has been existing for all this time? And therefore, how do we go about it? We are talking about an agenda, not just one term or two term. If it's two term, okay, it's okay. But how do we live through it? If it's one term, then what are you coming to do? When we talk about government inefficiency, what has been the biggest reason that has been bringing inefficiency in government? It could be just a symptom of a bigger problem. Then how do we now make sure that there is efficiency in government? When we talk about capitation in schools, money going to counties, what is it that has been a reason for delay of disbursement of these funds? How do we, why is it that we struggle finding medicine in hospitals? What's the real problem? And as political parties, that should be the biggest question in the room when we meet, apart from discussing who among us qualifies to be president. It's not just about the people in the boardroom.
Yes.
It concerns the people who will never get a chance to even get into the compound of that boardroom. And so what has been troubling me is that we need to be very clear. Because if we play the game that the existing government wants us to play, they want us to play around organizing around tribes. If we play that, we cannot win. We need, the Gen Zs, we were impactful because we broke the barriers of tribes. And there are concerted efforts of pushing young people into their tribal cocoons. As a Luo, think like one, think like a Luya, so you are controlled within those cocoons. They want you, as a Luo, to hate a Luya, but at the top, a Luya and a Luo are friends. So who is fooling who? Once we ask ourselves such questions, we'll come up with a solution.
Should the solution come from the politicians who are the same old, and like you've said, their interest is basically markedly different from the citizens, or should the solution come from the citizens? And as we get to the solution, should we not start by agreeing on what the problem is? What is this thing? What is the problem that we are seeking a solution for? You said, for example, that from where you sit, the problem is money, right? And then what we do with the money. So what's the problem here? The problem is jobs. What is it?
The problem is what we are raising in terms of tax is not enough to even carry out the social programs that the government will want to. And that's why sometimes you see government employing other theatrics to deviate us from the reality, what the real thing is. Because when we look at what we are raising in terms of taxes, and you look at what we are giving away in terms of servicing debt, and you look at what we remain with, it's not enough. So unless we deal with that riddle, that how do we make sure that what we raise in terms of our taxes is enough to carry out the government programs, that's when we will start solving issues. And it's not enough because of dubious government dealings, where some people go borrow money in the name of the people, but they privately use the money borrowed, and the burden of paying is put on the ordinary Kenyan. So, and even the increase in taxes, when you ask why are we being taxed, the answer is always, we have debts to pay. Then you ask, oh, these debts, what did we do with them? You want me to clap because the government has just announced that we have been successful in paying 215 billion to our Eurobond we took. Okay, it's right. But what did we do with the Eurobond? These are the questions we need to ask, because when we talk about 6-point-something trillion in terms of domestic debt, it's stipulated in law that you only borrow domestically for development. Which means we should be able to locate development worth 6 trillion within our economy. If we can't find it, why are we paying for it? And we are paying year in, year out. Why is it that the debt doesn't come down? It's always going up.
And it won't.
You're saying you don't see anywhere in Kenya.
Balance I reduce.
That's number one.
Math is not mathing.
That's number one. Na ukiangalia nyumba, umechukua loan, but the house looks the same. Yeah. Akuna no new furniture.
No curtains.
No curtains.
You are just being told, we have a debt to pay. You come home in the evening and your wife is like, tuko na deni kwa duka. Okay. The first day you can pay without asking questions. The following day, tuko na deni kwa duka. Unajiuliza kimoyo-moyo, then you pay. The third day you will be like, no. What is this we are borrowing? And I think the next...
3 days in a row.
Yeah.
What's happening?
Literally, that's a very good metaphor. If you break it down like that, ujiulize, by the way. Yeah.
What are we paying for?
Hold on, roll up. 6 trillion. We're going into a break soon. I think Joakim has kind of hit the nail on the head. And I know we've said it to death, but I don't know that we are actually looking at what do we need to do. It's what you asked. I'm just like, where do you begin to weed out this massive elephant called corruption? Like, oanze wapi? Because it's not like we've said that before. There's no problem with paying taxes. Even last year during the protests, when there was other media houses saying they don't want to, we're like, no, we didn't say that. We don't mind paying taxes. We don't know where they go. And it seems like a repetitive thing to say, but I think that is the beast. That is the beast. Where do you even begin? Where do you begin to weed out corruption?
You begin by getting people with the boldness to fight corruption. And the boldness to fight corruption is that you must be free of it.
Okay.
If you are where you are in life because of corruption, I doubt if you will ever have the courage to fight it because it's your lifeline.
Let's pause there. That's a good thought you started. We have to go into a break.
But shikilia too.
Shikilia too. People who can fight it, there are people who have to be bold enough to fight it, who haven't benefited from it, right?
Yes.
Where do you begin to do that math of the number of people who've benefited? We have Joakim Simiyu in studio talking about Mwananchi's State of the Nation, the version. We'll come back and talk about how we weed out corruption and how we actually begin to have the Mwananchi's agenda top of mind when it comes to State of the Nation. It's coming up to 7:30. We'll be back after this break.
400.
Nice. Likizo B. The guest is smart, but he works for a man whose billions can't be explained. He'll explain that to us just now. Charles
But
Ndungo
he works for?
a party. He works for a man whose billions cannot be explained.
Okay.
How do we trust his party can be serious about weeding out corruption? So you'll make a case. Charles Ndungo, why do we fight so hard to be better than the next person to the point where anything goes to ensure you get there? How much is enough for one person? Okay. Charles Ndungo again says the excess money spent by State House would have built quite a number of hospitals, schools, and ensured capitation isn't late or the amount reduced. Again, he says taking or not taking handouts is a personal choice. I chose never to take and be free to make my choice without the shadow of guilt hanging over my head. Jeremy Mutuma, when two villagers meet in a rich man's house, they automatically become enemies.
Hey. Wait. I wonder what he's alluding to.
Exactly.
When two villagers meet in a rich man's house, they automatically become enemies.
Like they want...
Everyone is trying to show the boss that I am the best.
And I deserve, the divide and conquer thing.
Okay.
And I think they've done it very well.
Yes.
I think they've done it really, really well. They've succeeded in their mandate.
Hey, that's true.
Said anasema, Janet, you're selectively taking us to breaks whenever the nail is being hit so hard.
Aki pole, ni time checks.
Can allow more room for engagement or initiate breaks before. Kabla point break.
That's how we keep you glued.
That's
The strategy. The strategy, bwana. Yes. How do we just let Joakim aendele? What will you look forward to?
What will you look forward to?
Now he's here. He can continue with the nail. Yes, Joakim, your nail.
That you are hitting on the head.
Where are we?
You see?
This is the problem.
We'll get back to the nail, but maybe you can start by responding to this one. Your party leader.
Yes.
There are many questions that, keep coming out all the time. Source of his wealth. Is he above board? Can he be the one to be trusted? As the msemaji wa chama now.
That question alone has a lot to talk about.
Tuambie who your party leader is, by the way, because some people are wanasikia Safina for the first time. Imagine.
They are wondering who the party leader is. My party leader is James Richard Wanjigi. Jimmy Wanjigi is my party leader. Kenyans know his name. Some of them have not seen his face, but he will be out there for everyone to see and shake his hand because he's the incoming head of state.
Hey.
Yes.
Okay.
So that question about his wealth, when you are you live in a village where you're the only one cooking rice and frying meat, and the other ones are eating herbs. They wonder where you are getting the meat, and they are not getting any. And that question comes up. I go to any interview, prepared for that question. That where has he got his billions? And I think he has explained it quite a number of times. What I remember is that he started doing business at a relatively very young age, but he's the only person who is best suited to explain where he got his money. I am an SG, I talk on behalf of the party. But then, if they have any issues, they are free to raise so that we can interrogate every person who wants to ascend to office. And he's not above board. He will have the chance to explain himself. But what I know in terms of, because some people ask, what business does he do? And I remember how Hitler was successful in targeting Jews and killing them, because he knew what they were doing. They were in tailoring, banking, and distribution. So you know where to attack. But if I'm struggling to know what you do, how do I attack you? For example, if today my friend Morara, we know him of furniture, how do I decapitate Morara? I fight his business. But if I don't know what to fight, then it means you cannot be fought.
So this is a strategy.
Yeah.
To me, it's a very good strategy.
I think it's only fair that question is directed to him.
Yes,
and
yes.
he answers it.
Yes.
Coming back into governance and politics of the country, and we were talking about what ails this country and what needs to be fixed, you know, as the country. And you said, so if we look at just how we spend the little money that we receive, that is the beginning of our problems. We have a huge budget, over 4 trillion shillings. We have low revenues of 2.4 trillion shillings. And we have huge debts of 11 trillion shillings to pay. And you're saying that every time you get home and your spouse tells you to kona deni kwa duka, the first day you will pay, second day utajiuliza swali, but you will pay, then the third day you'll be like,
we won't pay.
No, we won't pay.
I want an audit.
I want an audit. So now, let's assume that Safina Party takes over the leadership of this country, okay? And you've been asking this question, we've been paying every year. What would you do different?
The first thing is suspend paying of all debt. It is a painful surgical process, but it will have to happen.
So default.
Basically.
And people ask that what will happen now that you don't pay? The lenders will come knocking. And then we say that because we borrow debts as sovereigns, it's in our name that money is given to come. So who is our representative? It's Parliament. So if you come to us as a lender, and you're saying we owe you this amount of money, then we need to check the vote heads in Parliament if it was approved to be borrowed. If we can find it in the vote heads of Parliament, there is no approval, then it means we the people do not bear the burden of paying.
So who does?
The person who came to take the money.
That's the sovereign, like you said.
Who
It's the people of Kenya who took the debt.
Who is the person who went there claiming that I am doing this in the name of the Kenyan people? The lenders know the people, the government officials who went there. So if it's the president and his regime, he takes responsibility. He's the one to be asked. When you were Minister for Finance and you were president, we took this amount of money for this particular project. What has happened? If we can't find answers, we will recover what you have in terms of assets. You know, the reason why so many people are so uncomfortable of discussing this is because they know what will happen if we don't pay. The hard questions. The first Eurobond, half of it is not accounted for. There were people in office at that time. They still exist today. They wouldn't want us to even have this discussion. Even if they are watching right now, they are very uncomfortable watching this kind of discussion because they know the truth that the money we owe as the country, most of it, it's not the burden of the people to pay. So first of all, we stop paying. Then do an audit. The ones that we are legal, we have no problem paying. But the ones that are not, then the people who took it bear the burden of paying. If they have to go to prison, if we have to auction them, so be it. But the people should not be carrying the burden that's not of their making.
But
I'm not mad at that.
I have a few questions.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at the idea,
Yes.
but I just know realistically, come on, let's be for real. We don't take loans as individuals. We've already, ascertained that. There is no deal signed between Mariam and some World Bank, IMF, Nana Bank, African Development Bank. It's the nation is liable. So then to shift that to and even when it is not, if it was not approved by Parliament, even if it does hold signatures from either Parliament, the executive, those are still institutions. They are not people that you can hold personally liable for those debts.
Let's say we have had instances where ministers are sent home for misappropriating funds in their ministries. At what time did it become now individually to that minister, not the institution? Because institutions are people. That even this organization, whenever there is something that needs explanation, we can't ask the organization. We go particularly who was in charge.
True. But you can never come to Mariam asking her to pay a debt of Nation Media Group.
What is the stipulated rules of borrowing? And who bears the responsibility of following those rules? And in case they are broken, who bears the responsibility of explaining? Is it us or the person who is in office at that time?
They do bear, so you can, of course, look into it, audit. If there's discrepancies, if there's illegalities, those can be prosecuted. The law, can be followed. But to find personal liability for people for debts taken by a sovereign nation, that's a stretch.
Yes.
I wish it wasn't, but it's a stretch.
It's a stretch that needs to be taken.
We need to stretch.
You can
Yes.
stretch.
But yes,
I think maybe it's just the practicality of it. Maybe the approach and the process. Saying stop paying first as we audit, maybe where an issue would be. Say start the audit, okay? And then get to the point where finish the audit as fast as possible and then go back into, all right, so this particular debt, it is Janet bears sole responsibility, did not follow due process, and so on and so forth. And so let's have this conversation about this particular debt. This other one, Joakim, followed due process, and we can see the proceeds and where the proceeds went. Let's continue paying. But saying ati usilipe mamanjoro kwa duka because umekunywa turungi. You see, that's not, you have to start the conversation at home.
Okay.
Tuko na deni ya pesa ngapi kwa mamanjoro? Okay. Hiyo pesa tulitumia kufanya nini? Okay. And so on and so forth. As you wait for the answers to come, you've got to continue.
So you have a conversation when we are still borrowing. So Mamanjoro is
Paying,
still lending to us.
Not borrowing.
Yes.
You're paying.
How do you make sure that the lenders do not continue lending to us? They need to be very sure that these things, because
you make sure that the
It's your
people who are in
administration.
office are not borrowing anymore.
yes.
Remember, this is in the case of a Safina administration,
Yes.
right? Yes, then the administration just stops borrowing.
Yes, Safina government will not borrow, will not pay. That's our first agenda.
Not
However
pay.
painful it is, we are not paying.
I want to read something. It's equity with an I, please,
Yes.
to see confuse. EQITI, equity.com. Consequences of defaulting on debt. That's what we're talking about. Okay, first, it severely damages a nation's creditworthiness and credibility in the global financial market. As a result, borrowing costs increase, making it more expensive for the country to access capital. And this could jeopardize long-term economic prospects. It also creates a negative feedback loop Domestic businesses and consumers face reduced access to credit, hindering investment, consumption, and economic growth. And governments are compelled to implement strict measures, including spending cuts and tax increases to restore fiscal stability. And then finally, I think it says, a stable country defaulting on its debt wouldn't only damage its own economy, but also have wider implications for global markets. Thus, it's crucial for governments to implement prudent fiscal policies.
Can you check if we have any country that has done what we were?
I'll look into that as we continue the conversation. And I know we add
countries that have defaulted.
That have defaulted.
That have refused
that
to
were
pay.
like to leave.
You know, unfortunately, there is no such thing as, I don't think that terminology exists for refusing to pay. If you don't pay a loan, you have defaulted.
No.
There are countries that have conducted audits on specific debts. For example, I mean, the most recent one and public one is Mozambique. With the tuna bond. So there was a bond that was taken to support tuna fishing in the country. It turns out after an audit that hii mambo yote ilikuwa mchezo wa town. People were having conversations behind, nyuma ya tents and agreeing on what kind of kickbacks to give, and the money then that did not end up coming to do what it was meant to do. So the country and the judicial process that was undertaken determined that there are some people who are culpable along the value chain, including those who are representing the lender and those who are representing the government. And so, your pesa, wakasema sasa, you see, you found culpability on all sides.
Mostly it is that way.
Okay.
You found culpability on all sides. That even on the side of the lender, there were some conversations, and the lender must have been aware that there are kickbacks being discussed.
The responsibility
that makes
spread
sense.
out. Yeah.
You found that there were illegalities. This was clearly problematic on both ends. Tuoshane, tumalizane.
In fact, Liz Kobi is saying, I'm with Mariam here. What we're hearing is more sloganeering than policy. So it's about arresting those people who borrowed illegally and freezing their assets. Default isn't an option. It's a big conversation. He had talked about weeding out corruption. I don't want us to lose that trail of thought. And your bold statement, before I interrupted with the break, was it'll take a bold people who are corruption-free to weed out corruption. Okay, continue threading for us.
That if you've ever held public office, and you still want another public office, we need to check what's your track record. What did you do in your previous office? So that we can determine what you can do in the office that you're seeking. If we don't do those checks, we are going to end up with the people that are not fit to hold public office. And you see, I heard Professor Ongoya say this, that you cannot make a good deal with bad people. And that's what we've been doing as a country. We've been making deals that we think are good with the bad people. You elect someone you know is capable of stealing, and when they start stealing, you get surprised. So who is the problem? That's now our first point of action. Credibility of the holders of public office. And we should also be very clear on the repercussions of being corrupt. As it stands today, when you are a very good corrupt person, you get promoted. Yes.
Very good corrupt.
Very good at corruption.
Very good in corruption. You get a promotion. You get bigger jobs. Because I think, we are in a country where when you are corrupt, you are comfortable. It's comfortable to work around you because everyone else is thinking about what can we take for our own benefit. So if you are one person who is not willing to go that direction, then the other people who you're working with will get rid of you. Let's say you work in a company and all your colleagues are planning to steal a generator. You are the only one who is saying, no, that's wrong. You will be fired. Because they will look for ways of dealing with you so that they can steal without watching their backs.
Yeah.
And so how do we make sure that we have people with integrity in offices? It's our decision to make because we know them. We can say, no, this is not a bad person. This is not a good person. But how do we end up choosing people who only care about themselves.
Joakim, let me ask you, do Kenyans want to end corruption?
Yes, they want.
Demonstrate. Because all those things that you've said, it is Kenyans who go and elect people. They promote people who are good at corruption. They reward people who have demonstrated their prowess in corruption, right? And they basically, they look for and encourage corrupt people to come and vie for electoral office so they can elect them and put them in office. So Kenyans really don't want to fight corruption, Joakim.
There is always a first time in life.
If we had two people who are visibly corrupt who are in public office through an election, I'd be saying, you know what, that's an odd one out, and this person who doing to the public. But if you look at our elected officials, 1,881 of them, from MCA to the president, the percentage of people who are visibly and demonstrably corrupt, I'd bet you would be higher than 50%.
Yes.
But we elected them into office.
You see, we have had this problem. And that's why I said it starts with us. That whenever this is an example I use a lot, that if a certain group of people is being led by a witch, then that group is of witches. Because if you are not a witch, how do you allow a witch to lead you? You must, to some point, sympathetic to that kind of vice, or you also practice the same. But as I said, that there is always a first time in life, that the people up to the conversation that you hear among the people is that they are even tired of their own actions. And they have realized that we are not witches. How comes we are being led by witches? So it's a deliberate action by the people themselves to say, no. We claim to be bishops, let's look for a bishop like us. We've been bishops who are being led by witches. And when they start practicing their witchcraft, we start making noise.
It's like, sounds like legit witchcraft, because people then forget.
Yes.
They forget the pain points, because by then they're already on their knees. And I think that's what any witchcraft, I don't know what else to call it, because it's like it's strategic. You weaken and break me.
Yes.
Even after I'm like, I'll never vote for you again. By the time you go into the ballot, you're like, I have nothing, and this person has promised me. We're winding up, but because we're still going back to this Mwananchi's version of the State of the Nation, and I don't know whether we've covered this, but is there a practical solution that people on the ground have that leaders are not taking into consideration, or that they wish they could take into consideration across sectors? Is there just a solution that you hear over and over again, and you're like, by the way, if this thing was adopted, it would then sound like a Mwananchi State of the Nation? What's that you've come across?
I'm mostly in groups among the young people, and they are more about areas where and practicals where a government can create employment opportunities. That has been the biggest question, because when you look at around the country right now, even single parenthood has gone up. Because men are running away from responsibilities, because sometimes I want to say you are not able to take care of your offspring, so you vanish into thin air. Your partner has to harden and fight for herself. So it even breaks the composition of the society. So if we could, the things that is coming out more loudly is that let us look for ways of creating jobs for the young people. When you look at children coming from primary to high school, there are almost 11 million. But those who go to high school are 5 million. So where are the 6? And from there, those who go to university are less than 300,000. So how do we make sure that we have a society that is well equipped to take care of the challenges of life? If we do not do that, it's a recipe for chaos. And one day, what we saw in 2027 could just be a trailer of a real movie. But we don't want to get there. So we need a more practical way of solving people's problems. But what I see across the country today is very sickening to say, because you see gunshots being fired in Kabuchai. You see people lining up to be given sweets in Mbeere North. Sweets. If we have come to a place where parents and their children line to get sweets. Lollipops. Then in the market, they are being given sukuma wiki and one tomato. Then how desperate are we as a country? And I keep on telling the leadership in place that they are making a mistake that is even more dangerous to them than to the people themselves. Because if I have nothing to lose, we talk about peace and stability of the country. When you are in your slum sleeping and you hear that there is looting happening in town, you don't care because there is nothing for you to be looted there. So you don't care about stability of the country, because even if the country degenerated into chaos, the only thing you can lose is your miserable life. So how do we make sure that the people have something for themselves? That ukisikia leo Nakuru ni kama inakaa hivi, you have at least 2 stalls in Nakuru, you are like, what is happening? You really want to have stability in your own country.
Right.
But if we have people with nothing,
they have nothing to lose.
And it's not by accident.
I know. We'll leave it there for now. Thank you very much, Joakim Simiyu. We'll have you back again, I'm sure, just to be able to give us more of the understanding of what people are saying. In the next hour, we now hear, Joakim just talked about, he hears a lot about unemployment. We'll hear more about, just from young people themselves. We'll speak to Lena Mati, a lawyer and youth activist, the youth agenda in all of these conversations that we're having. It's coming up to 8 a.m.